All right, so welcome everybody to this episode of O365A. Today's our last in our series of what's new and exciting in Microsoft Teams devices. And today we're joined by Chris Nantes from Poly, that's now owned by HP, to discuss latest innovations in Microsoft Teams devices and hybrid work for smoother and more connected collaboration. So welcome, Chris. Why don't you just give our viewers a little background about yourself and your role at Poly HP?
Thank you, Curtis. And this is the last one of what's new, so I appreciate you saving the best for last. So I manage our federal government accounts across the HP hybrid portfolio, the hybrid peripherals solutions. So that is formerly known as Poly. So everything to support the hybrid experience, whether it's audio, video, or voice in boardrooms or desktop phones or office environments through headsets, webcams, audio devices in your home office environment. I usually say everything from the boardroom to the bedroom, but then HR says you can't say that on a podcast. So I just did. Uh-oh.
Very cool. Well, maybe I'll just we'll kick it off, and you can talk about sort of what's new, latest, greatest. But given that you're very familiar with the public space, I'd be interested to know, just in your experience, what's really working well in the public space from terms of Poly AV, just headsets day to day, even from a meeting perspective. So I don't know if you want to just talk to that and talk about what's new and what really works in that scenario.
Well, in the Canadian public sector, as many people are aware, there is an official hybrid work policy. So people in the office 3 to 4 days a week. And there's some variation by department, but it's generally speaking that. So it's important to have a collaboration environment that achieves the equivalent of meeting equity, whether you're in the home office or in your boardroom environment or at your cubicle or in your office in the building type thing. So we've been really focused on trying to have a harmonized experience across the board, and the federal government is very, very largely a Microsoft Teams certified organization. We do have, as Poly HP, the broadest portfolio of Teams certified devices across the hybrid space. So it offers clients a lot more flexibility to choose the options and combinations that work best for them, whether in the office or at home. And if I could be so bold as to kind of further introduce our organization. So for those unaware, Poly was the culmination of Plantronics and Polycom. So they came together, Plantronics being headsets and remote office equipment, and Polycom being traditional AV, and they formed Poly. They had a baby called it Poly. And HP, who's a leader in PCs, monitors, printers, and security software, acquired Poly about 3 years ago. So now we really have everything across the gambit of the space, whether it's everything in the hybrid environment from essentially A to Z. One of the elements that's important to our organization is around sustainability. And one of the things we're very proud of in Canada, and I'll bring up some material here to help emphasize my words here. One of the things we're really proud of under the HP umbrella is HP is actually Canada's most sustainable technology company. And I'll show you some proof points here. This is a pretty large statement to make, but again, it's one we're very proud of, and we back it up with a whole lot of great information. Now, Poly is following the lead of the HP mothership here, and we're really improving our commitment to sustainability. We've always had a very strong commitment to sustainability, but now it's emphasized and we're public about it. We're giving it a stronger voice. And some of the things that I think you'll see in our next generation products is really a commitment to sustainability, whether it's in PCR or post-consumer recycled plastics and metals, whether it's certifications related to sustainability like TCO that most of our headsets have, or whether it's just a commitment to non-toxic materials and really a circular economy across the board. So some of the things that are new in our portfolio, we'll start off with some headsets. What we've done is taken our black wire headsets, and they're black wires because the wire's actually not black. So don't ask, before my time. The wire is actually like a lava red orange. So you'll see all of our headsets now in the wired space come native USB-C, but they also have a little dongle that has an USB-A attachment. So that helps clients have more flexibility in how they use their USB real estate on their laptops. We also have the Voyager 360. That is, it's an equivalent Microsoft Teams certified enterprise class, business class to Apple AirPods, the pods type earpieces. Has a number of amazing elements to it that clients are really liking that support the Bluetooth protocol. Another Bluetooth headset is the Legend 50. This is a product that I use every single day. I have the luxury of walking my 7-year-old to school, and sometimes he even still lets me hold his hand. I'll use this headset because it's around 9 o'clock. I'm on a call most of the time. And I'll use this headset, and you can picture the background noise around me in a school environment. There's buses, there's cool school kids yelling. Incidentally, yesterday they had a chant of "Go Oilers Go," if you can believe that, across the schoolyard. What a cool thing to see. But nobody hears what they're doing on the other end of the call because of our noise cancellation capabilities. And then we have our Surround 85E headsets, or headphones, I guess you might call them, that are relatively new in the space. And these were the first and still might be the only certified Microsoft Teams open office environment headphones with a boomless mic. So there's no boom on them. There's actually 10 microphones in them. TCO, you'll see, is a certification across our portfolio of headsets, and it is the industry leading eco standard, let's say, for headsets and appliances. Here's a quick snapshot of the portfolio. You can see everything in green is next generation. So we've heavily revitalized the portfolio under the HP banner with a lot of investment in R&D, especially in both Microsoft Teams running on Android, all-in-one solutions, and in the, let's say, enhanced, sophisticated USB video bars and cameras on the left-hand side. Habib, you have got a question there?
Yeah, so thanks, Chris. I was just wondering, so we're definitely seeing a lot more these rooms being implemented. I think we're also seeing a lot of these BYOD rooms as well too. So maybe you could talk a little bit how sort of maybe some of your devices might fall into those particular, I guess, formats or for, use cases.
Sure. So it's interesting because the federal government, I think, originally started out with Microsoft Teams Room on Windows as their predominant standard. And I think they did that at the time. One of the biggest reasons why they did that, yes, there's a number of differences between MTR on Android and Windows. The biggest difference at the time was support for Direct Guest Join, which is a feature on the Windows platform that allows for WebEx and Zoom good enough call invitations and integration. That wasn't available on the Android to start, so they started off really going down the Microsoft Teams Room on Windows path, and now I'd say there's more of a balance between Android and Windows. And the difference between the portfolios, if you look on the USB video bars, that is really our Microsoft Teams Room on Windows portfolio, because they're simply USB peripheral devices that plug into the MTR compute, which is this guy over here. And then on the Android portfolio, these are all-in-one bars. So they have the compute inside. They have the MTR, the Microsoft Teams Room, within them. And we're seeing, in terms of demand, it's much more balanced than it was, I think, out of the gates. And we're seeing a strong demand for both. In the BYOD, that's really, I think, relegated more so to smaller rooms, focus rooms, huddle rooms, and certainly for some budgetary considerations where they just want a plug and play device. They don't want the sophistication or let's say the simplicity of a Microsoft Teams room with a, press the button and you're up and running. Now, to do a double click on some of these, I'm going to focus on this guy right here. Oh, just move forward on me. This guy right here, because we think we have something very different than anybody else in the market in the Microsoft Teams room on Windows. And that is our G9 Plus MTR compute. So I mentioned and gave the history of Poly and HP coming together, and we have a number of different better together stories, whether it's Bluetooth Direct and integration of our technologies, of our headset pairing technology within the laptop for a best in breed kind of hybrid experience. There are a plethora of other ones, but my favorite one is this G9 Plus, because this is taking an MTR compute, which is the heart of a Microsoft Teams room on Windows solution. And it was designed from the ground up with HP and Poly engineers coming together to create something very unique in the market. A number of components that you'll see on the right-hand side, simplicity. So how is this simple? If you have to zoom in really closely, I understand, but if you look at what comes in the box has QR codes that are all color-coded, and they all are related to these ports right here that are also all color-coded. And guess what? The touch panel that is supported, which is this guy right here, it's a TC10. You will see that on the back of the touch panel, there is a purple port, and the purple port has will be connected to your purple cable that comes into it. Will connect into the purple port of the compute itself. So it's literally plug purple into purple and get it up and running. You can start this up in about 20 minutes end to end. You'll see some people on YouTube that are faster than I am doing about 12 minutes. So simplicity has really been a strong focal point, making it easy for customers to set up or integrators to set up on their behalf. Sustainability, it has EPEAT standards, gold standard. It's got TCO as well and energy efficiency standards at its base model. It's completely manageable from our Lens portfolio, which is a platform that crosses all of our products, whether it's MTRs, whether it is BYOD devices that have that are networked in either through Wi-Fi or have an Ethernet jack at the back. It even supports our phones and headsets, all one pane of glass using Lens. It's scalable. It's scalable from a couple of different perspectives. One, it's scalable in the context of it's got some pretty beefy hardware specs in there. 13th generation, next generation i7 chip. I can go into the SSD and the RAM and ROM and all that. Tech specs, I think, frankly, it's a bit of a leapfrog game. Like, we've got the best out there today. 6 months, somebody's going to upgrade that. But I think what we're focused on is more some of the more sustainable advantages that we have because of Poly and HP coming together. Right? Scalability, you'll see here, it has up to 4 touch control panels that you can plug into on the back. You need a small Ethernet switch to do that. I have a question here from Michael.
Yeah, I was just kind of going around like kind of the capacity side. I know that Teams is going to be supporting like multi-cameras. Like, how many cameras can we connect to this unit, or is there like a hub or something that you connect to that? Yeah.
Great question. So Teams does support multi-camera now. It started out in January. We hosted a number of clients at an event last week where we had 6 cameras up and live. Now, multi-cam simultaneous streaming, it supports only 4. We had 6 plugged in. I've seen up to 10 plugged in with a USB hub, all working fine. This compute has a lot of horsepower. You will, in terms of USB ports, active USB ports on the device itself, it has 8, which is more than I don't want to say all others on the market, but more than most. I don't know if it's all right now anymore. But certainly scalability, it has a lot of horsepower and scalability in terms of USB ports, which means, of course, you can plug in more peripherals, whether they're audio devices or video devices, cameras or video bars. And then the scalability that you're seeing illustrated here is really the ability to support up to 4 touch panels. And it does that through a simple Ethernet switch that's on the inside of the room. So you don't have any threats of broadcast mitigation risk or anything like that. You don't have any your IT folks don't have a heart attack because everything's touching the network and they don't want that to happen. So it's all on the inside of the network. And there's no jitter or lag or latency. We've actually done up to 8 of them live. Official support is 4, but we've seen up to 8 live with no latency or lag. And why is 4 a good number? If you think about most sophisticated boardrooms, you might have one at the end of one at the end of the table, one at the other end of the table, maybe one on a panel, and then maybe one at a podium. So you've got 4 access points to control the meeting. That's kind of the magic number there. I'm going to circle back to something I kind of gleamed over quickly, though, in the simplicity element of this. As you're all aware, Microsoft Teams on Windows supports a USB peripheral environment. Well, in the development of what do we want to be when we grow up as an MTR compute with Poly and HP engineers, we took things from the ground up and said, well, ideally, that touch panel should be Ethernet based. It gives a lot more flexibility when you're doing your AV design. Much simpler, much easier to run with, much less expensive. So other MTR computes will have a USB dongle to Ethernet that connects to the tablet, the control tablet. That's what other manufacturers do. We said, why bother with that dongle? Because when you talk to clients, that's the biggest point of failure. That one little dongle, that little cheap piece of connector, that's the single most point of failure. So what we did was embedded that capability in the device. So it is Ethernet out. That's that purple Ethernet. Purple Ethernet plugs into the purple cable, plugs into the purple Ethernet port of your PC10 touch panel. So I didn't want to glean over that. Security and robust. What do we mean by that? Secure, we use HP Wolf Security, which is, if you follow the Gartner Magic Quadrant, it's one of the visionary quadrant leaders. Wolf Security is in all the PCs, HP PCs as well. And robust, what we have also done with this device is included it's a service called HP Communication Recovery Service. And what this does is it watches and monitors both the Microsoft Teams application and the PC itself. And if either of them crashes, it reboots. It reboots the Teams app or it reboots itself. And that's a small thing, but it's a big thing if you think about in the history of Microsoft Teams. And if an app comes out and maybe it doesn't play as well with the manufacturing devices as people think it should, this could have saved hundreds or thousands of man hours in the past. If this existed, so we think it's an important addition. Question, Dino?
Yeah, this is great. Chris, I was just wondering, what in the way, in terms of room telemetry, is HP Poly working on in terms of like, counting, guessing the number of people in the room, that type of thing? So, for example, you walk into a room and it auto detects someone's walked in, auto starting a meeting, that type of technology.
We do have something called Poly Labs, and for those of you involved, and historically, we had something similar in the Polycom days. So Poly Labs is kind of our testing ground for some of these features. So we have that capability on most of our devices where we can actually count people. I will show you one snapshot of Poly Labs and some other elements that we're doing. And this is something that any customer can subscribe to. This is particularly on the Android platform, but people count. We have that available. There's some other things we're doing, like stationary people filters. So in the world of collaboration AI, one great way to confuse a camera is to have life-size people pictures on the walls, which you happen to have in a lot of boardrooms. So we have a way to mitigate that with a stationary people filter. It basically recognizes when it's a picture, not a person. So that works out quite well. And people on monitors filter. There's a couple of ways you can do that. We offer a polarization filter on a couple of our devices, E70, X70, X72, V72. And that polarization filter, just like sunglasses, it removes the glare and the refraction from most commercial displays. But this is an AI version of doing that, so you don't need the extra glass. And then there's Voice Score AI, and that's interesting, where it gives you an audible score of both the voice and the background noise in a particular room environment, and then some potential recommendations. If you are under a certain threshold, it will say, okay, well, maybe you want to look at turning on one of our noise block capabilities, Noise Block AI, or maybe you want to turn on your acoustic fence capability with one of our devices, or maybe even you might want to look at adding an expansion microphone. So there are different capabilities like that as part of our lab's features.
Yeah, just a really quick question, Chris. So to access the Polylab features, is that like, do you enroll in that, or is that just something that like an end user organization can access without sort of enrolling?
Yeah, it's a very easy way to enroll. I think you're clicking on a box here when you're in the lens management environment, and it's instantaneous access. It's not anything challenging nor time consuming.
Got it. That's very cool and a good segue into the last topic I wanted to talk about, which was AI. What, if anything, is Poly doing? So that's a nice little segue into that. And unfortunately, a number of us have to jump, so we're going to have to cap it at that, Chris. But I want to thank you for coming on and giving us that overview, and even double clicking into the video bars and the portfolio and what's going on in terms of Microsoft Teams and Poly and HP, what you're delivering. So that was fantastic. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate your time, gentlemen. And I appreciate you again, saving the best for last.
Thank you, Chris.
All right. Thanks, Chris. We'll see you later.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. Take care.